where it's all heading.
Where are we? Did you make this?
Well, I thought you'd like a cheesy diner. You know, it's sort of you know, it's got that real gritty quality, that sort of Americana thing. You know, you like that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like the dead cow head. I thought that was like a perfect touch.
Looks like John Lennon a little bit.
It's probably safe to say that this is the first in-depth philosophical debate, if that's the phrase I want, to be filmed entirely on location inside a computer.
Redraw it. Another thing I see people doing, another error that people seem determined to make, is to think that this is somehow like psychedelic drugs, or that this will become a great pornographic environment. I mean, about...
Yes, the great two fallacies, yeah.
Exactly. The second question is sex, and the third question is drugs.
What was the first question?
After what the hell is it?
Oh. Right.
I don't understand this. I mean, from a sexual standpoint, it's like having had your everything amputated, so it doesn't seem very good for that.
My own belief about virtual reality is that if anything, it sensitizes people to the physical world. I mean, when you spend some time in the virtual world and you come out, just staring at a tree is an incredible experience.
You love all that grit.
It would be appalling to be sentenced to spend the rest of one's life in this world. The world is too simple. It doesn't have enough roughness and opposition in it to engage one's imagination for very long. It's wonderful as an escape from the world of mud and rain and reality, but if you don't have the mud and the rain and the reality, you lose not only the sense of the outside world, but eventually I would think you lose any sense of yourself.
I like making worlds really fast. To me, speed's really important. The whole thing that's special about language is that we found the one part of the world we can move as fast as we think, which is this funny tongue object, and to a degree our hands, and we use that to refer to everything, because it's as fast as thought. And that's how virtual world creation has to be. We have to be able to just make these worlds as fast as we think about them, just like improvise reality. So right now we have tools up.
I don't think those guys are plugged into the same reality that I am. The reality of computer graphics, the reality now, here and now, I think for the foreseeable short-term future, is that to create worthwhile, detailed worlds in which the level of information is satisfactory is going to take time. I think it's a very skilled business to actually create a world.
Gareth Edwards may be skeptical of people's capacity to create their own reality, but there is no doubt that today's crude virtual worlds will sooner or later give way to photorealism. And there are plans afoot to deliver this ultra-high-resolution imagery using something a little more sophisticated than a pair of mini TV sets.
What we're going to do is change the approach that we're creating these images and basically write an image directly on the retina of the eye using micro lasers. That way we can create the 4,000 by 4,000 picture element display that we feel is necessary to create the fidelity.
What are people going to be doing in these hyper-real places?
I know that when you walk into an interesting world, no matter how cool it is, eventually you want something to happen, something interesting to happen, some story to begin. So what this says to me is dramatic plot, dramatic character. So I've spent several years thinking about what a computer would need to know and be able to do in order to support a world like that. I think in 5 or 10 years, the person will be able to browse a menu of lots of different worlds that they might enter. And you might make a choice on the basis of the description of the world, or the artist who created the world, or the character that you'd be able to play if you entered the world. To me, as an actor, one of the most exciting things is to be able to change not just my body and my clothing and my makeup, but really fundamental things about myself, to change my gender, for instance, to change my ethnic background, my age.
If you step onto the stage when they're playing Hamlet and you're allowed to interact with the cast, and when Hamlet doesn't know whether to kill Claudius or not, you say, oh, come on, pull yourself together, kill him, kill him. And he kills him. Well, then that character has to be able to carry through the implications of his new action in terms of language, he has to be Shakespeare. You have to have a set of Shakespeares on the stage. It's not a plausible proposition.
The future may be closer than we think. According to John Barlow, bits of reality are already getting pretty virtual.
Well, cyberspace, I like to tell people who don't think that it applies to them or is some kind of science fiction concept, cyberspace is where your money is right now. I mean, unless you've got a few Krugerrands buried out at the end of the garden, just about all of your financial assets are expressed in bytes. They're sloshing around in the data sphere.
Most of us still think of computers as glorified adding machines or as clever typewriters. Virtual reality implies far more than that. Computers may end up being where an important part of our lives will take place.
The enthusiasm over VR is another example of what Paul Sappho calls macromyopia, which is the willingness of society to overestimate the short-term effects of a technological breakthrough and underestimate its long-term effects. Let's take, for example, computers, where people regarded them as toys or as another one of these things from California until one day they woke up and found out that computers were everywhere, that they were a functional part of their life as much as toasters. So I think you're going to see the same thing with VR. It's going to be dismissed, possibly even forgotten, and then one day in about 15 years we'll wake up and everything will be virtual.